Okay,
You're listening
everything relates back
to
to One
the
Piece. I promise
Unreasonable
it's a point to this,
Fridays
right?
podcast network.
That's why you're here.
I mean, there's always a point, but it always
Yes.
also relates to One Piece.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you're here for it.
like One Piece is experiencing like a revitalization in the West, which nobody saw coming.
I don't know how.
That neither do I. If anything, I thought One Piece would have picked up at like the height of the pandemic, not when we're trying to pretend like it's over. But now people are like, "Hey, we're outside. Let's go talk about One Piece." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" Anyways, so they're talking with Oda. It's at one of the. It's not Jump Festival. It's another. It was a Shonen Jump event. I can't remember which one it was, or maybe it was just they were just talking to him about something. And he brought up one of his earlier inspirations and like one of his mentors and someone that really helped him flesh out his ideas. He talked about work he did designing a character for a manga, and that character's name was Honjo Kamatari. And Honjo Kamatari was a cross-dressing man, identifies as male, dresses as a woman, um, and he is an antagonist who's in love with the main antagonist. And his whole thing is the government won't let me be free as I am. This man appreciates me for who I am, and I love him for that. Outside of two cringy jokes, his cross-dressing is never played for laughs. It's played as a rebuke of the current power structure and how they have driven a seemingly pure child full of love to being a cold-blooded killer because they would not accept him. His character arc concludes with him becoming a spy for the government as a cross-dresser, and he gets to be himself freely and fully. It's a very like full circle thing, and you can see that that's where Oda got the idea for, or he was like toying with his idea for Crossdresser Kingdom, which is in One Piece the kingdom of cross-dressers and trans folks who have rejected the government's natural order because the government won't let them be free, and this is how they experience freedom. They reject the gender roles enforced by society to be themselves and be free. Again, on paper, that is fucking next level brilliant writing. Unfortunately, he peppers it full of transphobic jokes. Luckily, he's gotten out of that phase. Without actually admitting it, you can tell by the trans characters he's introduced later on that he realizes that was terrible.
Maybe maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let's actually make them into, actual characters, people.
Right.
Real.
Well, even when he reintroduces the kingdom, they still have like his art style, but you can tell he handles them with so much more care.
He's not being a dick.
Yes.
I hate that. I can see it in the art style. In the art style, I'm just like, you motherfucker.
Right. But that character that he designed was for Rurouni Kenshin. And Kenshin's creator was one of Oda's mentors. If the name Nobuhiro Watsuki doesn't sound familiar to you, I will remind you. In 2017, he was arrested for possession of child pornography. And not just a little child pornography.
No, I remember. It was a whole thing.
He had a lot of child pornography.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like the way they handle child pornography, if you get arrested for it, like you have like a whole fucking server.
Yeah, so he got busted with a lot of child pornography. Shonen Jump, they were planning a Kenshin revival. They were planning a Kenshin remaster. They put all of that on hold until 2023 when it's actually coming out this year. But they said, we cannot platform this person. We cannot give this, we can't, the block is too hot. Even if it's just naked capitalism, they said, we cannot platform this person if for no other reason than the block is hot.
Yeah, no, you can't be doing that.
When the news broke, I can only speak about here and like my group of friends. Like when that news broke, Rurouni Kenshin is a series for teenage boys specifically.
It do be a shonen.
Right. That's the viewpoint I'm going to talk about it from. If you look at the core themes of Kenshin, Kenshin only finds peace when he embraces love. When he rejects the air quote badass killer persona that everybody attaches to and fully gives in to love, that's when he becomes like that's when he wins. Like that's when he becomes a fully realized character. That's when he beats Shishio, when he realizes I have something to live for, I have something to love for. I don't have to be this edge lord. I could be a person who loves. I can have family, I can have friends. I can love. And like for teenage boys specifically, that is a super important lesson. That is a super affirming lesson. Even the way Kenshin handles its female and female presenting characters, they're given a lot of agency to do stuff. Karu's one moment of wham wham being a damsel, she's immediately called out by literally every other woman in the cast saying, "What are you doing? Stop being a crybaby. Go get your man." And it culminates with her taking down one of the 10 strongest swordsmen in the world. Like, Kenshin for kids of that age was super affirming. I don't want to say it's as affirming as Sailor Moon, but it's up there in terms of like the themes and like learning to accept yourself, love yourself, and learning that it's okay to rely on others. Like when it comes to like those
Rurouni
affirming
Kenshin.
mentions.
Rurouni Kenshin is what people like to say Dragon Ball Z was for them, but it was really Kenshin.
Yeah. Like it was super important, super affirming. And when news broke that the creator was busted with was arrested for child pornography, it was a swift, okay, cool, so we don't fuck with Kenshin anymore. Like the ability to divorce themselves from something that had such a formative experience on them because of the harm that that person caused, they understood because the themes, Kenshin would have quit, like Kenshin Himura would have quit reading Rurouni Kenshin if Watsuki had been caught. Like if this was something like the actual character Kenshin Himura, if he was in our world, he would have stopped reading Rurouni Kenshin because of this news. And I think that's what helped a lot of people say, cool, this thing that was a huge formative part of my childhood, I can let go because the person that made it is a terrible human being.
Mm-hmm. I see the segue.
This is definitely segue of the month for Black History Month. Thank you.
Segue of the month, Justin Jones.
Nice.
Let's go.
Very well done. Very well done.
I was actually proud of that. And like when you brought up also, we don't like, okay, I can tie all of this together. I can tie all of that together. Because John Stockton and J.K. Rowling are the same person.
Yo.
Yeah.
They are the exact same person.
Damn, my guy went there. It's not even wrong.
And even the NBA had enough sense, even if it's self-preservation, not even being a moral, it wasn't a moral stand, it was a self-preservation stand. We can't platform you. You specifically, we cannot platform. But WB continually platforms J.K. Rowling in spite of everything. Because I guess Harry Potter license is just too valuable. Even though
I don't even get it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I really don't.
So that's the other thing. All of my Harry Potter knowledge is from pop culture osmosis. The premise of the books never appealed to me. Like I never read the books in school. Like when everyone was reading Harry Potter, I had fallen into Redwall. And I was like, oh no, I don't have time for it. Like, so at that time I was reading Redwall. I had just gotten into Walter Mosley. My library was full. So I literally didn't have the bandwidth for Harry Potter.
I can't remember who I was reading, but I was reading a lot of high fantasy done by older white lady authors who honestly like I was also like I'm also like a lifelong like Ursula Le Guin fan. I think that's the right one. So I was just like, when I got to Harry Potter, I was just like, it was one of those. I'm very glad that like people, you know, I was very glad that people were like reading, but I got partway through the third book, and I couldn't finish it. It was not good.
Yeah. And
It was
so like,
not
but
good.
a lot of my friends, like when I was in high school, read Harry Potter, and as we would grow up and mature, they would credit Harry Potter, like the themes explored in Harry Potter, or at least what they took from Harry Potter, as helping them come to terms with themselves and their queerness and their transness. So that Harry Potter had a special place for them. And then they found out that the person that made Harry Potter hates them.
Mhm.
I can empathize with a lot of folks who learn to love and accept themselves because of these works, not wanting to let them go because of the affirmation they got from them. My empathy stops when they try to pretend like by supporting these things, they aren't supporting a person that hates them and all of their siblings.
Hmm.
And that's where my hang up is. People want to play the wizard game without being told that they're supporting a transphobe. Right? Like, for remove the fact that she's going to use the proceeds of this that she receives to fund anti-trans politicians and conservative politicians and white supremacist politicians in the UK. Right? Because that royalty check she gets from WB every month is going to do that anyways. So cool. Let's take away game sales from that. You're supporting the product of a person that hates someone in your life.
Mhm.
Actively hates someone in your life.
Mhm.
Specifically funds legislation to completely out them from society.
Yeah. Like there's until someone removes that license from her hands, this is what it is. Okay, so going back to like all of my Harry Potter knowledge, right? It wasn't until last year that people actually started like telling me, no, it was in our Discord server that people actually started telling me what the book was about. Because last year I found a Twitter thread about the plot of the game. One, I saw the goblins and I'm like, wow, are these actually like this is what the goblins look like in Harry Potter? It's like they took um
Yeah, no, they're
the Elder
literally
Protocols of Zion from Nazi Germany and said, here, this is our bad guy. I'm like, huh,
they
this is
literally took old drawings of Jewish people. Which, to be honest, that's actually what kind of goblins like all the goblin imagery. Like WoW is also guilty of this. Like all of the goblin imagery you see is it's basically Jewish people. It's it's all created off of um like anti-Semitic drawings of Jewish people. That this isn't even new. When I mean, like, this is like before America was founded.
so we've got the goblins, and the premise of the game is the goblins are claiming they're oppressed and they want to fund a revolution to end their oppression by kidnapping children. And I'm like, okay, so blood libel.
By the way, I want you to know that the goblins run the banks.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So so in our Discord server, I say that I'm like, the tweet I posted was Harry Potter and the Blood Libel Prince, which had me in stitches all day. And when I refound that tweet, I was laughing for another 24 hours. Because like, nah, that's good. That's good. Um,
It's a blood libel.
and then Jeffrey says, "What if I told you it gets worse?" And I was like, I am morbidly intrigued. And then he told me about the Asian character whose name is Cho Chong,
Mm-hmm.
the black character whose name is Kingsley Shacklebolt,
Mm-hmm.
and then Aaron said, by the way, they have house niggas in this series. I'm like, excuse? He said, yes, house elves are effectively house slaves, and to free your house elf is a sin to the elf in question.
And they don't want nice things either, and they want to be beaten.
Which then made me say, this is the series that everyone is caping for?
Yes.
This. This is what you're caping for.
Even in my youth, I had a huge problem with the house elves. Even in my I'm an independent, but my views quarter on like Black conservatism. Child self was like, this is bad.
In the game, I believe they disappear as you approach. If you're walking around and you see them like in the open world, if you try to approach one, they disappear. They look at you and then they disappear, so you don't bother. So they don't want to bother you.
Yes.
Phenomenal stuff.
You should see how they talk.
I have.
You're gonna be really offended.
I've actually spent some time looking at the game.
Oh no, I meant just the text to Justin.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like this. And that's why I brought up tension in the beginning. I brought up an actual good piece of media that people had no issues letting go of.
Listen, you remember Jar Jar Binks?
Even Dave Filoni looked at Jar Jar Binks and said, "Hey man, I can only do so much with this character."
Listen, imagine if Jar Jar Binks was a house nigger.
I mean, he basically is in the first.
No, I mean like.
Oh, you mean literally?
Literally. Those are the house elves.
Yeah.
It's bad. And also need to remind you that the goblins, narratively, run the banks. Like we're not even creative here. We're not even in like creative anti-Semitism. We're in like the last like literal 1,000 years of anti-Semitism in Europe. Yeah. We're even pre-Nazi shit.
And these are views that JK herself has defended.
Yeah, she's fine with it. She's cozy.
Cozy like the second track on Beyonce's Renaissance.
Love that album. Not J. Carr. J. Carr can go.
Yeah.
Eat rocks.
But yeah, that was my sound check. I guess this would be the part where you do the title drop.
Don't really know. Really don't know where we go from here. I don't.
Justin wanted his own sound, his own mic check rant.
Listen,
I mean, I found it adorable.
I like it. All right.
Like my original intention was to just come in and let the chopper spray on this trash ass, because the game also was ass.
The game isn't good. Like I don't Justin, you listened to the last episode, right?
So I listened to the last episode, and I have found playthroughs of the game, and I'm looking at it. The one thing it has going for it has black people hair. That looks like it was designed on early PS3, but it has black people hair.
Okay, but you listen to the whole podcast. You listen to that podcast episode. The fact that people are throwing themselves in front of a bad game. The game is objectively bad. And it's, again, because I am an obsessed person and I will not ever let anybody live this down. Mass Effect Andromeda was dropped in 2018. Makes me irate again.
Mass Effect Andromeda looks better than this game.
Mass Effect Andromeda looks way better than this game on console even.
The other thing, the menus are ripped straight from Destiny 2.
Oh my god. Wait, are they really?
Look at the character, like the pause character menu when like you're equipping all your stuff. That's the Destiny 2 menu. That's the Destiny 2 interface.
It is.
I mean, I believe you because you've put enough hours into Destiny 2.
Yeah. Like the attraction to this game is 100% nostalgia, because the things that this game is being praised for, these same people said Forspoken was bad.
For
those reasons. Is it Uchiwali or is it One Mic? I have eyes.
Now, I will say, I think Forspoken is probably not a great game, but Forspoken's a better game than this game.
Forspoken has potential and promise, and I can see where another year in the oven would have served it well. But if you're going to say that Forspoken mechanically is a bad game, and then turn around and praise a game that can be cheesed with 2 spells you get in the first hour of the game, I'm going to have an issue with that.
I want you to know that in the game, you can also cast like the unforgivable magic. You can literally torture people in front of others, and the NPCs don't react.
I thought we already had 24 the video game. Like I thought we got all of our torture fetishization out of our like that. The 24 video game exists. It is such a wild piece of media that exists in this world. You can also go through that game without torturing anybody. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, you could also go through this game without torturing anybody, but the fact that you can cast like the unforgivable dark magic of whatever and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's totally fine. It's just like they go through such an effort apparently and be like, this is bad magic. Guess what? You can just like do a thing and none of the NPCs care. You know they care in Hitman. And I don't even fucking like Hitman like that.
Well, Hitman is a designed game. Yeah, it's a designed game. Same with Harry Potter game is kind of like a yada yada experience, kind of a genre piece. Harry Potter, yada yada. Thanks for the $70. I gotta go.
I mean, it's not like one of the lead writers didn't totally run a neo-Nazi website, and I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
I'm not exaggerating or being facetious. It was a literal neo-Nazi website. He got laid off before the game was finished, but they kept all of his writing because, like, you know, we do that here.
Yeah. So, hey man, if that is if this is a piece of media you wish to partake in, just understand what it is you are supporting.
Also, just understand why people just don't have to fuck with you.
Well, that too.
I also still don't understand why people are still like. I'm very glad I changed my Discord setting, but I'm still sitting here baffled why anybody would be like, you know, who I need to talk to Harry Potter with the game, like to express that I'm playing it. Bacon.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm not. I've been quietly removing people I see playing it on my friends list. Just like
everybody's going.
As I'm seeing them because Xbox has a favorites, so you only pay attention to the first 12 people that are always on, and not the extra 294 people that are underneath them. So every so often I would scroll and catch someone doing it and have to remove them. It's not what we do.
I just looked up I just looked up the game and who's playing it.
I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. If I don't see it, then I guess sure. But I will admit, I'll freely admit that I do scroll.
Lucky enough.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. I don't think I know anybody personally playing the game. That was not sent like a review copy. The person that I know was sent the review copy. He was like, "Are you sure you want me to play this? Because I don't like Harry Potter and I don't like the author." Like, it's fine, just write a review. And he was like, "Okay, if that's what you want." So,
all right.
But I did.
I like how he tried to give them an out, and they're like, "It's fine."
Yeah, like he was just like, "Yo, you should have want someone else." Like, not even. He wasn't even. He didn't even say, "Hey, I'm not gonna play this game." I'm making a protest stand. He said, "Yo, I don't like the creator. I don't like the medium. I'm not going to be kind to this game. Are you sure you want me to do this?" They said, "Yeah." So
I'm gonna need you to slide that name on over.
Okay, that's definitely a play the music discussion. because
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah, 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 yeah. No. That's a like slide that in my DMs. I want
yeah,
to know.
they did not publish his review. Uh,
Hilarious.
they told him what he was gonna do. Anyways,
No.
um,
I love that, but it's still funny.
yeah.
It's always strange
Uh,
how shocked people are by how other people dislike Harry Potter or JKR. Like the disdain still shocks people. Like if you really get into it, that's why I say it's an evergreen topic because I want it to just be consistently understood because it's apparently lost on some folks that the response to all this is what's wrong with you guys? Why are you being so serious? How could you? And the shock is confusing to me more than a little bit. How would you not know why
yeah.
someone wouldn't like Harry Potter in 2023?
One of my best friends in high school, and we stayed really close, even after like well into both of us starting our families. Like she loves Harry Potter, and then she found out that J.K. Rowling hates her and her family, and like that was watching her divorce herself from that fandom was heartbreaking for her because she's like, yo, I learned to love myself and my family through this series. Like I learned to embrace my own queerness because of this series. And now I find out that the person who wrote it wants me dead.
My favorite thing about the Harry Potter series, to be honest, is that everybody took the wrong fucking lessons from that series. Because like the more I look back at it with adult eyes, JK wasn't teaching any of that.
Right. It
Literally any of it. Like kids just with their like positive, like the hopeful kids brain. That should honestly say something about people and like there might be hope out there. Is because like if you go back at it looking as an adult, right, with adult eyes, the content that JK had put in those books aren't getting what people took from it, like at all, like not even a little bit.
yeah.
Like you literally have like the bleeding heart liberals as like the group that nobody fucking likes.
It's almost like that it's the inverse of the One Piece meme.
It,
The meme that floats around on Twitter every so often where it's like lessons you can learn from anime. My Hero Academia, always give 100%. The Promised Neverland, never give up hope. One Piece. Wait, hold on. I have to find.
it's very the One Piece one's very wordy.
It's like something to the effect of the world's largest military is nothing more than the enforcement mechanism of the billionaire class. They will enact genocide in order to enforce their brutal regime. The only way to fight back is to unite in a working class revolution.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
no,
when people see that, they think it's a joke. I'm like, no,
that's literally One Piece.
that's the only thing missing from One Piece is Oda at the end of every chapter going message. And then haiku volleyball.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to me that everybody took the wrong fucking lesson from.
Yeah, they took the hopeful lesson. It's like, oh no, I was actually this is a right wing manifesto, and I'm offended that all of you bleeding hearts latched onto it.
Yeah, and I think she's even like I think she's even made like allusions to that like in her tweets.
Yeah.
People will be like, "You taught me, you wrote about X, Y, Z," and she's like, "Well, maybe you need to read it." Like, I never wrote about those things, and I'm like,
I blame John Williams. He scored the absolute.
Go on.
He framed the absolute shit out of Harry Potter as Harry Potter without the magical seasoning on that. It might feel like a different story. Like the movies, at least. Like it's just very amusing to me. Like how, like the people who like it from the movies. I'm just like I feel like the framing of it from young adults to the movies, like the timing of it, kind of perfect. And I think with different soundscape that maybe the proper right wingers would have gotten the right message, and we wouldn't have taken as much from it. Cause yeah.
remember, Gryffindors are the people who are their trait is just being brave to stand up for your beliefs, Fuck you, JK.
Oh my god, I just made that connection.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah,
That's
it's real gross.
gross.
Real gross, buddy.
Oh man.
Yeah. Looking back at it with adult eyes.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Welcome to another episode of ADD Space. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman, but with me, the actual host of ADD Space, the CEO, CFO, lead designer, head therapist, head of payroll, chief custodian, travel czar, Elise Bacon. How are you?
Hello. I'm just waking up.
Tell me, you're all warmed up.
I
You're
woke
good.
up.
You're good. You sound good.
No, I woke up. I woke up at 1:20 and was checking my Discord notifications. 1:20 PST. And I was checking my Discord notifications, and one of my FC members had needed help with the thing. And Justin's like, "Oh, I could do the thing, but you have to, but I have a thing at exactly 1:30, so I got X number of minutes." And I went, "Fuck, that's today. I just woke up." And it's been a disaster since then. But I'm here. I have coffee. I may have dropped an entire glass of juice adjacent on the kitchen floor and dropped an egg, but I am here.
Did you drop them like one after the other?
It was the egg first, and then when I was walking over to the computer, my hand did a thing, and it dropped my Pedialyte.
Well,
the whole glass.
Kudos to you for not getting mad because my body doesn't do what I want it to do. Sometimes I'm like, well,
if I got mad at every single time my body did a thing that I didn't want it to do, I would be out of energy within like 3 hours. And considering I have the you have to rest illness, I just don't have the energy to be mad like that. It's got to be worth my energy to be mad. My energy is my most precious commodity now.
I see it. We also have a guest. Well, not our guest. Other host is here. Justin, who's here. He's a free man, by the way.
He's a free man.
And no relation.
He can do what he wants, and he wanted to be here.
Right. No relation, of course, but he's a free man, and he's here of his own volition. Justin, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm actually the one holding everyone hostage today. This recording is happening because I just had to say something. You know, I've reached that stage of Black fatherhood where it's like I got something to say, and now everybody's just forced to listen to me. It's great. It's one of the few male privileges that exist in this world. The only male privilege, actually, that exists in this world is that when I say things, people have to indulge my rants. It's literally the only male privilege that exists in this world.
Only one, yeah.
Yes, the literal only one. What I actually wanted to talk about today, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had their 25th anniversary. And thinking about just like the game, the state of the game, one thing that has shocked me, and I want to sort of like just work this through with people that I love and trust.
Hello, we're here.
Howdy.
I see Black people getting into Magic now, right?
Right.
Emphasis being the word now. Black people have always been in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when did that become the sprite of video games? Not video games, like the sprite of card games.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Like, you know, this sprite just decided they were the Black people drink, and we all just said, okay, Sprite is the Black people drink.
Niggas are the one who have taste, and we fucking hate Coke, and Sprite is it. It's that lemony refreshingness. What the fuck does Coke give you? Nothing good.
That's a very...
Sometimes you just want the refreshing without the caffeine.
That's a very good sociological question because I realize now my first introduction to card games was Yu-Gi-Oh, and niggas claim the shit out of Yu-Gi-Oh,
Right.
and
Yu-Gi-Oh is an anime, and as an anime card game, they didn't run from niggas. Um,
Also true.
Magic the Gathering is white nerd space that even though in like white nerd spaces, like white nerds like anime, white nerd spaces don't like card games unless it's Pokemon. That's a special
oh
exception. Um,
oh it's a
and
war.
Yu-Gi-Oh is not a real card game to them, to the Magic the Gathering folks.
Oh, it's Warhammer rule, where as a nigga, your first exposure to a property is like only racist whites. Before you even can find what you like about the property or the thing you're looking at, it's just like seeing the racist whites surround it dancing in a circle. And therefore
It is
you
racist white nerds. Like it's not like I need to be very specific on the type of white racist. It's the white racist nerds, and they are fucking insufferable.
there you go. That makes sense.
What's worse, a white racist or a white racist with no social skills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I I find it just peculiar that we sort of latched onto that space, and like at first I thought it was just the bubble I was making for myself.
No.
It's like, okay, no, it is just my personal bubble. It is my experiences. That's why I'm seeing all these black people in Yu-Gi-Oh, because that just happens to be what I surround myself with. And then as I expand my bubble, I'm like, no, it's seems to be a near like universal constant thing. And I do so the community is definitely one part of it. I think the other part of it is, at least in the beginning, Yu-Gi-Oh was a lot easier to play.
No, it is.
Not easy in terms of like the rules, and like it is a less complex game, but easier as in it's easier to get into it. It's easier to just hand somebody a deck and say, hey, this is what this deck does, this is how you play, this is how you build decks. Like that ease of access is there, right? Like you've got the physical card game, you've got Master Duel now, which Master Duel, in terms of accessibility, I want someone smarter than me in that space to like talk me through it, because I look at it and I see a game that has the whole library, or not the whole library. It's staggered out from the physical release, which again, money, business, I get it. You're not going to have the entire release on Master Duel because you want people to buy the physical card still. Cool. But you have a game that has that has a good chunk of the cards. You have a system that is not pay to win. It's a free to play system where you can grind out the in-game currency. You don't have to actually pay money, but the way they get you to pay money is say, hey, here's the new shiny thing. Don't you want the new shiny thing? And you say, yes, I do want the new shiny thing. Here is my money. And that's how they separate you from your money. But at no point do you feel like you have to spend money to be competitive. It's super accessible. It's super, like, whatever platform, mobile, Switch, console, PC, it's there. They want you playing the thing. Magic doesn't have that.
No. Magic also is at the point where, I mean, while it would be really great, they don't really need it. Magic does have like several like, and has had like several like card games like on console over the years, but Magic's got some of the most obtuse rules ever. And like what you can't, the card, and it's also very expensive to build up your cards, like very expensive. And what you can't, like if you were to do a tournament, like your tournament cards, what you can use and what you can't use are, it's very murky. And it's just it is both it's easy in accessibility to get into, but it's very difficult to get into at the same time.
Yeah. Like for all the issues people have with Konami as a company, those issues are more along the lines of like the mechanics of the game, like the ban list for the game. The issues I hear people have with Wizards of the Coast, it's like, as a company, you are bad people. And I'm like, oh.
Wizard of the Coast is very messy, yes.
as I'm learning, the more I dive into this space, like you said, for like cards, like it's murky what you can and can't play. Every 3 months, Konami puts out a ban list, and they make it an event. Like these are the cards that are banned, and like it is very clear which cards get banned, why they're banning them, and if it's not clear when they make the announcement, they're telling you why certain cards get hit.
Yeah, they'll release like a new like set, and then like half the cards in the set will be banned.
So
Of the
here's what
cards they just released. Like just released. Like don't even get me started when Planeswalkers drop. Like Jesus fuck.
so here's what Konami will do. Like when a new set comes out, they won't ban anything in the new set. They'll retroactively ban other cards that will enable degeneracy for the new set.
No, they will like Wizards of the Coast has literally banned like here's the new thing, and then like a month later, it's just like half the cards in it are banned.
Yeah. Like so for Yu-Gi-Oh, Master Duel sprites just hit Master Duel, and preemptively they hit a bunch of rank 2 level 2 monsters that enable sprite degeneracy, the main one being Totally Awesome, which is just this cute innocent little toad. They banned it before Sprite came and said, no, we've seen what you guys do in the physical card game with this, we're just going to ban this now. Nope, don't even pretend like you don't know why we're doing this. You know why. And everyone just looked at the list. It's like, yeah, understandable. I get it. Yeah, I understand why you're banning this. My boy had to suffer for the sins of this new hotness that you're trying to push. I get it. Um, yeah, it has always been fascinating to me to see just the attachment that we have to it. And again, I like you said, the communities matter. I think the ease of access matters.
Yeah,
I
Yu-Gi-Oh
think
is extremely easy to get into.
like even the physical cards, while they can be expensive. Hold on, let me see, because I know Ash Blossom is probably the most expensive. I guess that's because I thought they weren't reprinting. All right, let me just do what is the most expensive Yu-Gi-Oh card that's like that you need to be competitive. Okay, so you're probably dropping for certain cards like $50, $60 for like if you want a physical card for your deck building list.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Magic.
Welcome to the weeds, my guy.
Yeah, like I'm because again, this is fascinating to me. Oh my gosh, you can pay upwards of $1,000 for certain cards that are competitive staples in a Magic deck. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, it's
Why?
it is not a great game. I mean the game's fine, but like if you're trying to play competitively, it is wildly inaccessible. And like I said, like it's got the white racist nerds. And those white racist nerds are both not welcoming the new players, and they ain't welcoming the Negroes.
Did not even think about it. Yu-Gi-Oh has been such a part of my childhood that I didn't even pay any mind to Magic the Gathering until well into my teens, like 16,
And
17.
I can
18.
also tell you, until like Magic the Gathering has like gotten, because Magic the Gathering's gotten better over the years, because one, people have grown up, and two, it's becoming being a white racist is not as socially acceptable. Don't be a prick. Also, Wizards is desperate for all this new money. They need the money.
Yeah.
God, they need the money. But like a lot of like oh a lot of the Magic the Gathering folks, they didn't look kindly on anime card game number 587.
Yeah.
They like as a community, like they don't look kindly on them card games.
Yeah.
And I
And
know a
also,
lot of people, like I specifically know a lot of people who left the Magic the Gathering community, who used to play competitively, and then went to anime card games because anime card games were friendlier communities.
yeah. And then because the attachment black people have to anime also helped. It also helps that they had like Egyptians in the anime, but they weren't your typical Egyptians. They were actually like dark-skinned Egyptians.
For once.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's listen, Yu-Gi-Oh is ripe to pull some hoteps in. I'm just saying.
Right?
It's just ripe for hoteps. It is like it's perfect. Right down to the narrative. Let's go.
Hold on. Let me show you one of my favorite characters from the second series. Axel Brody.
Oh my god.
Yes, hold on.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I think this is like, I was always a fan. Then this nigga showed up. I was like, oh yeah, no, y'all got me. I'm here.
That
Like,
mother
look at this actually designed black person.
Yu-Gi-Oh also had actually designed black people.
Like, with no, there is no Mr. Popo over here. There is no, oh god, who was that from the Red Ribbon Army? That bald head with the actual clown lips. I didn't forget. I didn't forget.
My brain has a tendency to like erase those people, so I just don't get mad.
Part of that energy conservation system you've employed.
I'm part of the energy conservation system. It's just like, oh, here's the thing that's gonna make me extremely irate. Purge.
Yeah. And like his deck isn't anything stereotypically black themed. His deck is I have volcano monsters that literally burn you to death.
Volcano monsters are important.
Like, they could have gone the lightning route. I thought they'd have gone, black people lightning. Nope.
Oh my god, the black people lightning is something that I didn't. It was one of those things where like somebody mentioned it on Twitter, and I went no, and then I thought about it, and I was like, no, it's so true. Angie, why?
Can't help themselves.
Why is it always lightning?
Look. And like, the worst part is, for the most part, the characters are intriguing enough that you don't notice it until someone points it out to you.
No, you don't.
Like Static Shock, Black Lightning. Hold on.
My favorite.
I have a look. In our
yeah, go on. Look it up. My favorite element in most things is lightning to use. So thunder. So
me too.
Yeah.
So Naruto, the whole tribe of the whole village of black people, all lightning-based chakra. Yoichi and Bleach, her ultimate attack is lightning-based. Storm has all of the elements, but what is the one we primarily see her use?
Yes, lightning.
Lightning.
Yes, she has the lightning earrings sometimes.
Miles Morales Spider-Man couldn't resist giving him electric-based powers too.
Oh my god, his powers are electric-based.
He's got the Venom Shock. They made Electro black. That counts.
All right, the show's over.
They did make Electro black.
We're gonna wrap up the show now. That's enough.
No.
Yeah, the show's gone off the rails, and
we don't have rails.
Yeah, we do now. I refuse to have my entire enjoyment of lightning second guessed in any capacity.
Every character I've listed is not a bad character. They're all really good characters.
Good characters, though.
Crimson Viper from Street Fighter, my Street Fighter people.
In fact, you guys can continue this conversation. I'm just gonna call the police. Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, Bumblebee from Teen Titans. Her little stingers are lightning based.
I forgot her stingers are lightning based.
Oh yeah, Black Aqualad has lightning powers. That's
Blackwillad?
yeah.
No.
Or because Calderon is Aqualad, Garth is Aqua Boy. There's some way to distinguish between the two of them. I forget how, but because it's like Robin. There's like a bunch of Robins, but only like one real Robin. Like Dick Grayson is Robin to
Dick
a lot of
Grayson is
people,
Robin, yes.
right? Even though he's been Nightwing for most of our lives, you say Robin, most people are gonna think Dick Grayson.
No,
Right.
not me. I'm the only one. I'm like, that nigga specifically did not want to be Robin, does not want to be Robin, and I will respect him for that because I don't want him to be Robin. I need him to get his shit together, and he can only
Dick
get
Grayson,
his shit
I see.
together as Nightwing somehow.
If we're wrapping up, if we're talking about Robins, my
We're
favorite
not
Robin moment of all the
we're not
Robins.
wrapping up. It's fine. It's
No, he's joking. You
I'm
can't
I'm,
listen
I'm
to
just
him.
gonna call the
Just keep
police.
going.
However long it takes for these police to show up. No one's been shot, so we have about 3 hours. Please continue.
My favorite Robin moment of all the Robins, Damian Wayne is being a little shit, and Tim Drake has finally just had enough of this child talking to him crazy, and he beats the ever-loving shit out of Damian. And Jason Todd is just watching. Is like, hey, you should have been talking shit. I don't know what to tell you.
Like all the Robins are in a room just
Like, no.
being like,
I know Jason Todd is in the scene because there's like a panel to him where he just sort of shrugs, like, hey, you had that one coming. Tim told you, Tim warned you, and Tim just finally had enough. He said, no, I'm not gonna let this child talk. Jason can talk to me like that. Dick can talk to me like that. You can't talk to me like that. Nuh-uh.
Funny
No.
enough, Jason Todd chokeslammed Damian Wayne at some point as well.
Oh yeah.
for talking crazy, and he just literally picked him up and dropped him to the ground. He picked him up and dropped him so he can understand his place is important.
All of the Robins at some point have faded Damian because Damian just, I'm the son of Bruce Wayne. I can do what I want.
It's funny. Now officially, Damian Wayne has existed long enough. I think he's been Robin as long as I understand Dick Grayson. And in fact, because there are so many other Robins when I was growing up, he's now officially been Robin longer than like in one straight line. Because usually Dick Grayson became Nightwing and Tim Drake wasn't there. And then Jason Todd became Red Hood. Damian Wayne is the longest tenured Robin, or approaching it, in my life. In our lives.
isn't Damian Wayne like the most well adjusted at this point?
No. He's
At this point, Tim's number one.
Oh
yes.
yeah, I always forget Tim because Tim's chill.
Dick's well adjusted. He's just a man whore.
No.
Dick
Dick is a fucking mess. You don't have. Sorry, when I mean at this point, I meant including all of their time as Robin.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like from the time of Robin until now, because the Robins go through shit because Bruce Wayne can't be a father.
He's more of a battle dad and all that entails. But please continue.
I mean, he's something, but he's fucking up these kids' lives and just also giving them money. Like, this man is a problem. But like, who out of the Robins, who has had the most well-adjusted time as Robin? I know that's asking a lot because they've all gone through it.
Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson has taken the most out of his trauma and become a Wolverine-like beloved figure among most superheroes in the DC universe. So, like, Tim Drake is not as present as Dick Grayson. Jason Todd is still Jason Todd, and Damian Wayne is a little shit who would have been killed several times over if Bruce wasn't his dad. And yeah, so Dick Grayson has
Well, he probably would
leveraged.
have had a lot of those issues if Bruce wasn't his dad.
Yeah, it'd be Dick Grayson. He's leveraged being raised by Bruce Wayne into a reasonable superhero existence.
He's now. He had to leave
Yeah,
to do so.
listen,
That whole earlier time of him as Nightwing was so full of fucking angst.
Jason Todd is still Jason Todd, and he has been in perpetuity. Like I said, Dick Grayson has leveled out. Jason Todd comparatively has not. So that's what I mean. It's like no one is going to get through Battle Dad, being raised by Battle Dad unscathed. But you have to
who
turn
came
it.
out okay? Barbara.
Who?
Barbara.
Mentally. I can see
Yeah.
where you're going with that one.
Yeah.
No, I specifically meant mentally. I'm not talking
Oh.
for everything.
that-
All the shit that happened to Barbara, Barbara came out okay, more okay than some of the others.
Well, that's still Commissioner Gordon's kid. If that was Batman's kid, same problem.
Oh yeah, no. If that was Batman,
If she was one of Batman's kids, then yes.
I do appreciate Gotham Knights the game having like the most chill interpretation of Jason Todd ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's actually a chill person who will listen to advice and actually let people call him out. He's like, yeah, you're right. I'm tripping. I'm tripping.
Yeah, he's really trying to process all that in the game itself. It seems like he's trying to sort himself out as best. But then again, I think that's the cast. You know what's funny is I almost think that cast would have benefited from having Damian Wayne as one of the kids because they're all, how do I put it? It's a strange game where they try to cover more emotions than those 4 people have. And they have to stretch the interactions and how they write. So sometimes characters are a little like Jason Todd is way too chill. Dick Grayson is not at times. And it makes no sense how these characters are interacting with each other given what we understand about them. And it's like if they want to write, if they want to throw in some seasoning, if they want to put some hot sauce on this, you put Damian Wayne in there. You can have him say pretty much whatever you want. Whatever inflammatory thing you want to have him say, you can have him say it safely and believably. And yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah. I don't have I talked about Gotham Knights on this show yet? I like Gotham Knights. It's a fine game.
Yes.
It it's a solid 7. No, we did talk about it because I said don't get it at full price, catch it when it's on sale.
Yeah. I remember that. But it's been a minute and we old. Let's go.
Yeah. No, it's a solid game. I was actually playing with my brother, and because he got Marvel Avengers, I never played Marvel Avengers. I just watched him play, and he said this is the game Marvel Avengers should have been.
Too bad Marvel Avengers is garbage.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Unadulterated garbage.
It's got a good single player.
I'm like,
Go on, please.
Yeah, well, like the way that Gotham Knights handles its multiplayer, that's how he said Marvel Avengers should have handled its multiplayer. Like instead of doing the Destiny route of these are your strikes, we play these strikes to grind out for loot. Here's this open world. Crimes are happening in this open world. We have a persisting story. You can do those story missions, but here's also an open world to explore and solve crimes in.
Crime Box.
Yes, Crime Box.
Yeah.
It is not as polished as the Arkham Crime Box, but that is okay. I think people wanted a successor they wanted like the next Arkham game, but this is not the next Arkham game.
Yes, that is what happened to me. I realized that my opinion of the game is not applicable because I really would like to play another Arkham game. And this isn't it to such a degree that I'm like, oh, they weren't even really trying. And as a result, I did whatever this is, I don't play it. And it's not.
By the way.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
Oh no, please continue. I can return to this point.
Oh, mine was absolutely an aside.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Go on.
So I realized that I always forget about the Killing Joke because of Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond is such a better Killing Joke than the Killing Joke.
They rewrote it and it's very good and it makes more sense.
You know who else did a very good interpretation of the Killing Joke?
Who?
Do you remember the animated series the Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tragedy of Clayface is just the Killing Joke, but instead of Barbara Gordon, it's Ethan Bennett as Clayface.
Oh, you're right.
Right down to Clayface saying, the only difference between me and you is one bad day. Did you have a bad day, Batman?
Hmm.
They did that, and I'm like, this is brilliant writing for a Batman show aimed at children. This was bloody brilliant. And like the whole Clayface arc in The Batman is like, starts him as a detective, Ethan Bennett, trying to do the right thing, gets kidnapped by Joker. Joker tortures him for however long, turns him into Clayface, and he adopts Joker's mantra of one bad day, I'm a freak now. Then he, comes out of Arkham, rehabilitated, tries to put his life back together. Black man out of prison, can't get a job because he's a felon. And I'm like, are we doing this on a children's show? Because, like, to be clear, Batman the Animated Series is a children's show for adults. Like, that was clearly for the adults watching TV with their kids, right down to the time that show came on.
Right.
The Batman was a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a whole arc dedicated to the black man getting out of prison, not being able to get a job. Bruce Wayne has to get him a job as a security guard. And he's like, I'm grateful to Bruce, but man, I want something more. And then he just slips back into crime because Gotham at its core is a corrupted, festering rot of a city. And you can't get ahead by doing the right thing. I'm like, the episode ends with him becoming Clayface and stealing the jewels and just getting away. And I'm like, this is a kid show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. I remember it was just like, well, there really wasn't. There just really wasn't a way to get ahead. There was nothing.
I'm sitting there watching this.
And Bruce has his head so far up his fucking ass that he just like can't see that, like, where your money would actually go towards. That would actually be meaningful.
That would require an entire revamp of the value of Batman to like the DC universe, and I don't know if we're ready for that. Like, yeah, no, I've given that some thought.
Batman needs to go. Batman needs to like actually experience therapy to be ready for that.
So I have an idea. I've always had an idea that the problem with Batman is we see too much of him. If Batman was an event, a legend, like the fact is, at sometimes you might need one man with several $1 billion worth of military equipment at his disposal. You might need him. Most times you don't. Most times you just need Bruce Wayne. But that's a lot of to write a Bruce Wayne comic. Or to write a story where Bruce...
Listen, we're getting into some of my favorite Batman Beyond conversations.
Right. It's what made the Telltale Batman games so interesting.
Yes.
It was about those games were about Bruce Wayne. They weren't about Batman. And
listen, Terry fucking lays into Bruce about this.
Oh,
because it's it's one of the biggest differences between Bruce and Terry. Terry grew up like poor but with a good family.
Yeah.
Terry doesn't need Bruce.
The draw for me for Batman Beyond is seeing Terry and Bruce's interactions. Like the episode where Terry falls in love with 10 and he gets his own personal Catwoman and Bruce sees it happening. Bruce is like, oh, I see exactly what's happening here. I'm going to tell you once. You don't want to do this. What do you know, old man? Lo and behold, Catwoman goes Catwoman, and Terry just looks at Bruce. He's like, hey, man, did you ever go anything through like, hey, man, I should have listened to you. Have you ever gone through this before?
Okay, I'm not going to lie, though. In Terry's defense, I don't think nobody should listen to Bruce, even if he's right.
That is the one subject I would listen to Bruce Wayne on. He just sort of smiles and says, let me tell you about a woman named Selena Kyle. And like every time I see that scene, it just like, it makes my heart just grow.
Okay. But also, Bruce didn't talk to nobody, so nobody would know that Bruce went through that.
Bruce was like, Hove did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. Aaron, you want me to make you upset? I'm about to make you mad.
Give it a go.
All right, you remember the show Gotham, right?
Yeah. That live
remember
action.
How terrible that show was?
Yeah, that live action Jammy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it?
You want me to fix it for you?
Sure.
All right. Gotham. Here's your premise for Gotham. Gotham is about Gotham City before Batman ever shows up, right?
Right.
My thesis, because every piece of media needs a thesis. My thesis: what would drive a city to depend on a person in a bat suit to protect it?
What?
No, that is what this show is trying to answer. We're trying to answer that question. What drives a city to become so desperate that a symbol of hope is a man in a bat suit?
You
That's
mean
my
asking
premise.
a better question than what's being fucking
Oh yeah, no,
asked.
they don't. Oh yeah, you've done. You did.
So,
Go on.
season one, I focus on the police department. I focus on the police department and organized crime, and how, like, we start with a young Jim Gordon. He's fresh faced. He wants to do the right thing, and he's trying to take down this one crime boss. Just pick a crime boss. None of the big crime bosses that have like any meaning in the DC canon. Like, don't go for a Falcone.
Right.
Go for like a minor crime boss, right? And Jim Gordon's trying to take this guy down, and his bosses, his supervisors, they're all like, "Hey, man, you're trying to have us do actual police work. That's not really what we're about. We're just trying to get these numbers for the mayor's office. We're just trying, we're trying to keep this thing running." And we find out that the crime bosses got pulled in local politics. Like, we find out that crime is connected everywhere through this one season. But Jim manages to take down the crime boss because, of course, and we learn it's a hollow victory because he was just a little guy in a big pond. Falcone is the one actually controlling everything, and he's got ties with the mayor's office. He's got ties with the police office. And that's where season 2 picks up. Season 2, we start looking at the politics of Gotham. We start looking at, the mayoral race. We're going to have, there's a mayor's election coming up. So we can follow the candidates for mayor and how they're interacting with the police and trying to use crime. They're both trying to say, we're tough on crime. And that's how they're trying to get elected. All the while, you're still, dealing with pick another mystery we're trying to solve. I don't want to involve any supervillains. We're not at that point yet. Season 3 becomes about the press and how they're reporting on all of these things.
Wait, you're doing this like The Wire. Listen, nigga, we ain't prepared. We are not prepared. We are not prepared. We are not prepared for 6 seasons of the Gotham dissected like 6 seasons in fucking Baltimore. Absolutely, America is not prepared. Have you seen America? We would buckle under the weight of that series. We would buckle under 5 seasons where after and as a time skip, and now we understand why Batman exists. We are not. It would destroy this country. It's on wobbly ground to begin with. You can continue, but I see what you're doing, and they may be in another timeline, but not this one.
You jump to the end. Yeah, it's basically you do The Wire, but Gotham. That's exactly what you do. That's all you have to do. It's been done for you.
Yes.
I have a season with Gotham Academy where we follow like a young Bruce Wayne at Gotham Academy with these group of lovable kids. We found out that one of the kids is the son of one of the crime bosses who expects that kid to just go back out on those corners.
Yep. Listen, I would watch this. Listen, you haven't made me mad because this stuff makes me happy. I love fixing a show. Nothing makes me happier than a premise fixed immediately. I didn't like Gotham. The obsession over the villains, it was just a lot of teasing. It was very silly. It got caught up. It became masturbatory really weirdly, really quickly. Gotham City is a fascinating place. We don't need villains and we don't need Batman. It's a fascinating place to be filled with villains and need to be saved by a billionaire in a batsuit throwing everybody around. There are a lot of systemic issues I would watch unfold. And a thing that is annoying me, one of the more annoying things since you bring it up, you know the Joker movie, the ones with the white flag?
Which one?
Oh, the one that
Joaquin Phoenix
making a sequel to with Lady Gaga.
Yeah. So, have you guys seen it?
Sorry, they're making a sequel to that trash?
Yeah.
With Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
So,
it's a romantic comedy.
Right.
Musical.
Right. It's going to be weird. However, they did 2 things that work in that movie. I'd seen it. I did 2 things they did. They created a world where they created a Gotham where major worker level revolution was started by the Joker. So you would need a city where the working class people are inspired in a permanent fashion, like Gotham's on fire because of something the Joker did accidentally on behalf of the working class of Gotham City. So that makes a city that would require Batman. And also because of something his mom said, he thinks him and Bruce Wayne are brothers. He thinks Thomas Wayne is his dad. He thinks Bruce is his brother. These are interesting reasons for why Batman would exist, because Bruce Wayne's much younger in the Joker. So it would make sense that with 15 years apart, after watching Gotham set itself on fire because the face of the working class is now the fucking Joker, yeah, they stumbled upon it. I don't like the movie, but at the end, I was like, they're not going to do anything with this because DC WB Films totally disorganized. They don't even realize they did it. They don't even realize they did it. So it will never be followed up on. That's why the second movie is a musical. And not like 15 years of Gotham inspired and shaped by the Joker well before the Batman ever came into existence, which would be a city that requires Batman. But again, movie's trash. You don't have to see it. They did stumble upon a thing, which I assume like when McDonald's found out they can make food that doesn't spoil, kind of like that. It's not great, but it's a thing they discovered. It does have value. It was interesting in real time. It's like, oh, yes, movie's not good. Don't watch it. But they did a thing. Since we're talking about things that just came to mind, we're talking about Gotham City and how it should be framed and how you create a world where Batman is necessary.
Am I rewatching The Wire again? And that's when this crossed my mind. Yes.
I should. Where can I watch The Wire? I've never actually seen it.
HBO.
Someone can give you their HBO Max login before it disappears forever.
Yeah,
we'll work that out.
You should watch The Wire.
I have a need.
Rewatching it again, it just continues to reaffirm my belief. If you like Stringer Bell as a human being, if you like Stringer Bell as a person, not as a narrative tool. You can like Stringer Bell as a narrative tool. I love Stringer Bell as a narrative tool. I think as a narrative device, he is fascinating. He, as a character in a story, I love him. The person Stringer Bell is a terrible human being that should be chastised, and all bad things that happen to him, I cheer when they happen to him. But as a literary device, he is fascinating. But if you actually enjoy the character, think that the character makes good points, you're a bad person.
It's a good litmus test, though.
Yes.
You know how white men have characters that are litmus tests for their. He is a black man litmus test. You will find out. I guarantee you, the great teachings of Kevin Samuels is not far behind someone who thinks Stringer Bell is the smartest person in the room. And all the time, and wishes and functionally wants to be the smartest person in the room like Stringer Bell. It's none of this is no problematic stuff has to follow just in their day to day. So yeah.
My favorite part is Stringer trying to take his macroeconomics lessons to his drug dealer cohorts as if it is a 1-to-1 translation.
Yeah.
Tell me that shit doesn't happen every day, though.
Valid.
Tell me there isn't that. There is that nigga in every fucking friend group, and I'll tell you what, drug dealers absolutely have them in their group, and they're just like my guy.
Right.
They're just like, we're not. That's not. This isn't.
Yes, that is why he is the litmus test. Because if you get if any nigga truly nodding along with any nigga's truly nodding along with Stringer Bell is going to be a problem in day to day, sooner or later, guaranteed. Even though I'm an audio professional, I don't know where we're going from this rather riveting discussion, because now my mind is on the Gotham City proper Wire show, and a Gotham City show that's not obsessed with Batman characters being introduced. Gotham City became like Monday Night Raw, by the way. It had a wrestling problem where it really obsessed with getting characters on the screen and as much as possible without any, and eventually just becoming incoherent in its pursuit of getting that pop from getting a recognizable Batman character on screen, and definitely tanked the program. So, but now we got my mind. Now you got my mind on it. Now I would definitely watch that program.
Yeah, swap McNulty and Jim Gordon. You have Gotham. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. It was so simple. I remember watching it with Eric, and we thought that when Gotham was pitched, that's what we thought it was going to be.
So, I watched John Bernthal as a corrupt Baltimore police officer.
Oh, I'm convinced that the Academy, like the people in charge of awards, have something against David Simon, because I just knew John Bernthal was going to get nominated for something.
Yeah. John Bernthal will also be an amazing Commissioner Gordon if we're doing Gotham City as like Baltimore. Like if we're going all the way in, because Gotham City, to be clear, it's like Chicago. They keep framing it as New York. Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way. It would need to be shaped like Chicago. But if it was shaped, if it had Baltimore energy in a Chicago landscape, that'd be a thing. I'm in on this idea. So I'm already casting it in my head. Someone needs to continue the program. I'm off.
I mean,
this is 100th episode. We need things, content, celebrations. We've done.
No, it is 100. Oh my god. I don't know why people I asked people like, what are ideas? And I got like nothing. Nothing 100.
Well, you didn't have any ideas either, so it's.
I have no. Why would I have ideas? I fucking never have ideas. I am 100% off the cuff kind of person.
How Megatron of you to demand other people have ideas?
Yes, I absolutely demand.
Are you surrounded by incompetent?
Not an idea person.
Are you surrounded by incompetence, Bacon?
I'm surrounded by pure incompetence.
It is us, so valid.
Listen. I make things, I execute things. I do not come up with the ideas for things. That is not my ministry.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
Oh, go
100
on.
episodes. Y'all been doing this for a while. I've been honored enough to have been invited into your abode to share my space, to share my thoughts and ramblings in this space, and that has been very appreciated. I tried to say appreciative, but I went to say appreciated. That was awkward. It's been very appreciated, and a lot of people listening to you feel the same way I do, that you give voice to a lot of things that they don't know how to articulate themselves. I don't think there's a better example of that than the last episode when you talked about, Harry Potter and the Wizard game, and why, there is no ethical way to buy the game, right? People appreciate that you are yourselves, and that we get to listen to you and watch you learn and grow. And we get to listen to you experience joy, and especially in a podcasting space that is trended towards sharing the negative and accentuating the negative, having a space where people can talk about things that they love and they enjoy is super important. And that's where y'all come in. And on behalf of the people that listen to you and that have grown with you over these last 4.5 years.
Oh my god, I'm 4 years old. This is like year number 14 for Aaron. Year number 4 for me.
Yeah. It's good because I'm happy that you said this, because I just like Bacon short circuiting. Direct heartfelt compliments make Bacon short circuit, which is a great, like, that's how we celebrate the 100th episode, is by short circuiting.
Oh
Bacon.
yeah, I don't do them.
Well, you got one now, and I'm definitely gonna clip that and just send that to you randomly because it's true.
I will not listen to it.
You have no choice because we have to do a podcast together. But thank you, Justin. We're not done. I'm gonna have to figure out something to do as just maybe
Well, I mean,
like
like,
one or two things.
That's a good spot to like cut this part off, and then like for the next part, you get like Erica and Jeff.
About that part too.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Welcome to another episode of ADD Space. This is the second half of episode 100.
Episode 100.
Part 2.
Whoop, whoop.
My favorite, I like the word hundo, but it's not my music. Like, it's one of my favorite words that, like, I usually am very comfortable with the words that are not my music that I like, that I just can't say. Doesn't sound right coming out of my skull. Hundo is one of the things my brain fights over. My brain wants to say hundo a lot and doesn't, and it's just it's a daily struggle with the number 100. Anywho, we have the real host of ADD Space, the CEO, CFO, lead therapist, head artist, social media lead, head of payroll, and travels are Elise Bacon. Bacon, how are you?
Hello, I'm here. I'm alive, kind of. Please pray for my brain. Thank you.
What's going on? Where's your brain on fire? What happened?
School is why my brain's on fire.
Right.
School. That, big old school thing. So as per usual, I am, and to be expected, very behind in all my classes, and end of the quarter is the 22nd. So I have been playing catch up like nobody's business.
You gotta do a whole semester in 13 days.
Quarter. We're quarter, so it's less than a semester.
Still a lot of time to catch up.
Yeah.
Still a lot of schoolwork in 13 days.
Well, yeah, because so school here is like 11 weeks.
Mm.
And semesters are usually like 13 to 15.
Mm.
So I'm much less time. I have like a month and a half. And I was like, well, yeah, 2 months ish. So I like very behind.
Well,
and but I've been trekking away, and I'm definitely gonna spend my spring break and flare up sleeping and only raid logging in FF. But I am here. I'm alive.
well, fortunately, for those who want to support, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/unfridays. All the money goes directly to Bacon. If you
Also,
feel
we're
like
keeping the podcast alive.
So this general maintenance. It's all the money's in the walls. If you feel like Bacon should be able to eat while buried under blankets, recovering from the school year, you can donate any amount of money, from $1 a month to several $1,000s at once. Remember that $3,000 I will officiate your wedding, even if you're white, especially if you're white. But also, we have our special guest for episode 100, part 2. Our favorite writer, social commentator, thought leader, observer, activist, creator, game critic, author, and speaker, Jeffrey Rousseau. Sir, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Hello, I'm glad to be back. Hello, my people of over inclusion that would violate narrative boundaries. I'm so glad to be
Wait. Is that our new term? People of over inclusion? Because I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I'm good. Before I answer Bacon's question, I'm doing all right, Just a little FYI, because it is March the 9th. It's around the time where out of towners come here for spring break. Now, I don't have a problem with out of towners here around the Miami area. The problem I have is with traffic, and also our cops are kind of assholes. I don't know if people know that listening to this podcast, but
Cops are
you'll
assholes.
notice you'll notice right. You'll notice that if you see any news about policies and things that happen during South Beach during spring break down here, please look at the photos and pictures of the people that's often in reference to. I'm pointing to my skin because you don't see a video of this podcast just to give you a hint of what that means. So anyway, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be amongst y'all. We back at it again for episode 100. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
No, what is this? What is this called? People of over inclusion.
People, to quote, Yoshida talked about how over inclusion of people of color would violate narrative boundaries. And in his answer to
Oh.
my follow up, yes, this is in reference to Final Fantasy 16. That's why I use that because that was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
People
many?
of over inclusion.
So how many Negroes does it take for over inclusion?
So, I'm referencing Ash Parrish's Verge article about the interview with Yoshi P regarding Final Fantasy 16, and
I was gonna say, didn't Ash specifically do that second interview?
yes, and the reason I reference it because one, that's just a funny ass thing to say to someone,
It's fucking
but
ridiculous.
also more importantly, like I think the piece is a really well written piece because as you read it, it's an interview, but also it's rebuking what's being said because again, the developers, and again, I want to note, stop please stop attributing all like development decisions to one person. That's not how things work.
Mm.
So yes, Bacon.
I do have like, you are not wrong, but I do have an addendum to this one. Specifically with Japanese work structure, and Squeenix is very huge on this. The director does have to agree with, like, does have to like stamp every fucking decision.
Mhm.
So it makes some of these production games like go longer. Now, so like for example, for Final Fantasy 14, every decision that they make, he has to actually approve, like even narratively. So
Mhm.
it does go through his desk. Now, I don't know how much of that he has specifically because he is the producer of 16 and isn't the director, whereas with FF14 he's producing and directing, but the director of FF16 is also not super great. And I'm also just generally not a big fan of the writer
Yeah.
per se.
Um,
He does great world building, but his it's lacking in the character department.
Thank you very much for that, Bacon. So, with that said, in the piece, it's Ash's piece. It's a interview with Yoshida, talking about the game, the decisions that went into it, and also like addressing made comments about there being no people of color, and pretty much it was just like a double down of what was said in the IG, following the IGN comments, and one would assume maybe that's not good for press. I'm gonna get into why that that is. It might not feel like a good answer, but I'm going to address that. But anyway, um, so in the paragraph it reads, Yoshida talked about how over inclusion of people of color would violate narrative boundaries, and in his answer to my follow up, brought up the different peoples and cultures the development team included in FF16. In introducing game, he gave an overview of the different kingdoms and factions vying for control for all for the all powerful mother crystals. Now we're not gonna retread ground that we already spoke about here. Bacon, you can listen to our past episode where Bacon like explained that a lot of the kingdoms, particularly FS16, are based on North African kingdoms and on reference MENA regions, which aka that just comes down to people there would look like the people you're listening to on this podcast. So the reasons why they aren't there: don't hold water. These are the decisions that were made. So the reason I brought it up as well is because it it's interesting because one would assume during a press run for your game, you would try to do your best to present it in this best light. And the backlash to what was said previously was not good. It still remains not good because you don't have to give us a press release to just mention what kind of people are in and are in and not within the game. But the thing about how anti-blackness works and the media landscape, all three of us, and anyone who's ever been in this podcast knows, it's like a lot of things are pervasive and also things are just like, hey, it is what it is. We move on. One, this game is going to sell millions, regardless of what anyone else is going to say or think. I know that it will. I'm going to see commercials of this thing on ESPN in the morning and it's going to piss me off, but it's going to sell millions, right? That's one. Two, the way anti-blackness functions in media is like a show can practically have like no body of color and the main cast can still be white, and like whatever the diversity of that show falls under, whether they're like sub characters, where that'll be considered a pass and it'll move on and it'll still end up being rewarded. It'll still get rewards. It'll still be considered a great show for writing and blah 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 blah. All these things aren't the way people give these passes is, it's not really passes, just like that's just where we're at. Like I could literally, like me myself being a black man, I could literally create a game that like features nothing but like um white Europeans, and the only black character can literally be like a street merchant, right? And if that game has really good writing, whatever, it'll be rewarded and applauded, whatever. And granted, we see this thing happening year out with a whole bunch of other games anyway. I'm not saying anything that's new. And that's just how it is, right? People aren't gonna make an outcry. Excuse me, certain people aren't gonna make an outcry about a game not having a colorful cast or what have you. It's just like, just be like, oh, okay, I still want to play this. And then you also have contingent of people as well. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. This company has shown us what their games, particularly for Final Fantasy, have been like, which is funny because 10, Tidus, he was brown originally before homie just got lighter and lighter in the other games he appeared in, which still makes no sense to me. Because by the time that boy winds up in Dissidia, you swear you're looking at somebody else. I'm like, who are you? Right? Anyway.
Yeah, he's a tan boy.
Right?
He's melanated.
You're right, because you looked at his daddy. His daddy darker than me. That's not even a joke. That's like, for real, look up Jack. And then you look at my skin tone. It's like wild. But anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because the thing about games, especially that we notice, unless it's like something so abhorrently like racist, people are not gonna be uproar. They're not gonna say like, hey, this game shouldn't get support, whatever. That same thing doesn't really apply to to things regarding like racial depictions and blackness. It's kind of it's a double standard. And the thing is, and what's so funny about this is like whenever people try to defend, again trying to infantilize developers, you will see another Japanese company release a game where either it'll have a really robust character creator where like people of so many different identities are able to make themselves, or a game that specifically goes out of its way to include black and brown characters. I'm talking about Deca Police, for example, and a character Mikey Princeton, which, by the way, sidebar, I don't know if y'all saw that post I made. That game, Deca Police, still, we don't support the cops, but all the main characters literally are named after like prestigious universities. The main character is like Harvard
Harvard
Marks,
Marks. Yes,
Yep.
Harvard Marks. Harvard Marks. I
right?
see them looking at the list of
Mhm.
names here. Harvard Marks, Carl Oxford. I don't want to butcher that name. Mikey Princeton.
Well, that character, they're named after a I looked at I believe it's a prestigious university in China. Please don't call me on that if I'm wrong. But I did look it up because I had a feeling that name looks kind of familiar. But anywho, and then Mikey Princeton, the black character, right?
Hey, they named him after Princeton. Let's go.
Right? And that's funny. And by the way, his character bio is so funny because you read it, it is like, oh, he's like a nice boy. It's like, yeah, I can fight, but I'm a pacifist, and that doesn't really work when you're like police, by the way. But still, he's a good boy based off his bio.
They went, we are not making, they're like, we are not making the black character be a violent cop.
No,
For
like,
once. For fucking once.
like it literally says like, no, he's a pacifist, and I'm like, yeah.
You know what?
But
though?
anyway,
I'm more interested in that game because they made that decision. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, because I saw that, I'm like, okay, because what it sounds like he'd much rather just talk to people before like resorting to you know what. But anyway,
I mean, I could go on rants for hours about like violent black cops and narratives.
yeah,
And
right.
it's always the white cop that is the nice one, and they're like, "But look, see, black people can be." And I'm just like, you know what?
We're not, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But the other thing I wanted to mention as well is like after sometime after Ash wrote that, you know, the same thing that tends to happen with black folks in the gaming space, just depending upon their job or their function or what they say, which is true, they become the subject of harassment. And I've unfortunately seen Ash receive a lot of negative harassment in regards to writing that piece. It's really unfortunate because I think it's a great piece. I like giving people their flowers when they write something or do something really really good. It's unfortunate that people have to do their job, and then you know motherfuckers on keyboards feel like they can talk to you any kind of way, where if they were up to you face to face in public, you wouldn't do that shit,
Nah,
you know,
they'd be ready to
especially
learn.
like no black phlegm, you know. I'm
Right.
sorry, what?
I said they'd be ready to learn in person.
Yeah,
They'd be ready
you
to
know,
learn.
I didn't,
It-
it's a unique perspective. Thank you so much, Ash. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's what they say in real life. When you talk to racists in real life and try to teach them stuff like in like any I'm sorry, especially when you can whoop their ass or there are more than one of you.
Oh yeah, thank you for the new different perspective.
And please continue.
yeah, it's like just a black femme person doesn't deserve that. But yeah, that's my opening topic. I don't know if anyone else wants to take it from here. Oh, I guess. Well, no. I'll wait my turn.
I mean, whenever you're talking, like this is a thing that came to mind is so I'm downloading the Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm about to climb into bed with another white man in a terrible situation. And
I will say the brown lady. I do not know her name.
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. They changed
I really like her design.
the agent was originally darker and then got lighter, and now she's just black. So yeah, in the original GameCube version, she was much darker, and then in the remake, and as it got ported and ported over, she got lighter, and now she is just black. So, you know, it is a dope look. But I realize, we are approaching the bewitching hour for Resident Evil remakes. When they remade Resident Evil 2, I said, all right. They said, we're going to remake 2 and 3. And I was like, cool. About 3-4 years ago. I said, well, when are they going to do about Resident Evil 5?
Oh no.
And right. And I'm like,
they-
Resident Evil 4 comes out next week, I believe. No, 2 weeks it comes out. So I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh, Resident Evil 4. And as soon as I realized it, because they took my pre-order money. And the demo came out, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is March 24th. And I was a gong went off in my head, and I was like, all right. We are almost through the looking glass. Will they do it at all? Is the question. As I was like, will they remake Resident Evil 5? Because they have a disdain for the story after 4 as a team. They've said so. But they've been remaking all these Resident Evils. I'm wondering if they would. It came to mind immediately. You reminded me of it, Jeffrey. And now I'm wondering if they have the audacity to actually have a Resident Evil where you don't play as Chris Redfield at all. Or what they could do to actually fix Resident Evil 5 in a remake. They don't have the range to do it. They don't have the range to do it as well as we'd like them to do it. But what could they do?
So the thing is,
Listen, all they would have to do, there's like 3 things.
Okay.
And they're all very easy.
Okay.
Not have spear chuckers. Not have the natives go ooga booga or oogly boogly.
Yeah, they did go ooga booga.
They did literally like, okay. It wasn't even words. And the worst part about them like not even using words, like, was the fact that like they chose gibberish. Like they didn't choose an actual language. They just chose gibberish.
They all spoke the same language that Crash Bandicoot's mask buddy spoke. And
I'm very upset about it.
Right. Deeply upsetting. Very, very deeply upset. And that's why I'm wondering, because I'm like, I don't think the game can be go on.
And like the other thing that they could do,
Yes,
remove some fucking QuickTime events.
those QuickTime events were great. They were the only way. Listen, all right, so that's a gameplay thing. There is a social issue.
No.
Right.
So the problem is with Sheva. Sheva's QuickTime events were harder than Chris's by a lot.
Yes. So
Sheva was nigh unplayable because of it.
So the QuickTime events, right? You're right. How do I put it? They were the only way. Now, Resident Evil 5, in terms of just pure narrative, is the greatest upset in video game history. My 2 characters, who cannot move and shoot, they cannot run and jump, beat Neo from the Matrix in a protracted battle of any kind. The QuickTime events were the only way that it looked realistically difficult to fight Wesker. Aside from it being wildly racist, those QuickTime events, especially Sheva's, were the only time where it felt like, oh, I'm fighting a superhuman as someone who can't move and shoot their gun at the same time. Because the rest of it, Wesker just threw like professional wrestling. There was no reason for us to succeed in Resident Evil. Out of all the games I've ever played, where I've ever won, we should not have beaten Wesker in Resident Evil 5. At all.
No. So what my issue is that I think it's racist that Sheva's QuickTime events are harder.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I just realized like they're super hard and they did that accidental thing, but yes, they are racist. But with this being said, there are also several other problems.
It was accidental.
What? What'd you say?
I'm not even gonna say it's accidental. Oh, sorry. And the other
oh no,
the other thing I was gonna do, but I got distracted by the QuickTime events.
Right.
Is they need to fix their South African diamond mine.
Right. So okay, so the beginning of the game is Africa used as a backdrop for crazed Negro zombies. It's discarded. Then the diamond mine is used to display crazed African loincloth wearing spear throwing folks. And then, if you remember, they disregard the entire backdrop for a base, just a regular old umbrella base on a boat. So, like, if the game is racist, the core design of playing as the black character is racist. Sheva herself is deeply problematic, and she is from the Dominican Republic, and everyone else is from Africa.
Which makes her accent make less sense.
Yes, she is. There is nothing redeeming about Resident Evil 5. That's why I realized this now.
Literally.
It came to mind. So I'm like, every other Resident Evil has a core value that they remade, and I don't think they're going to do 5. But I realize that now. I'm like, as we're actually approaching it, as it's like a question that people are now asking. Like, you look on like Reddit, Twitter, people are like, are you going to do 5 yet? And some black folks are like, are you going to do 5? And so
if they do 5, they're gonna have to make an announcement about how they're doing 5.
It would require a whole new Resident Evil game and wouldn't be a remake at all.
Technically, it would be a complete remake with a retcon.
Right. It would
I'm
have
fine
to
with
be like
this.
it would have to be like a new Resident Evil game. Like, it would have to be Resident Evil 5, but like be new and like entirely different. Of almost no connection to the original one besides Wesker's here. And
So
it would be like the same characters but better. Also, remember in the game where all of a sudden, like, you go through the diamond mine, and as you go through the diamond mine, you end up in like these ancient ruins that you then grave rob.
Oh yeah,
because again, remember that the cause of this outbreak is actually because the black peoples kept the source of it hidden away.
Oh yeah.
It was all black people's fault, remember? Yeah. So the reason why I remember these details is because I was just talking to Az about it the other day. I don't know how it came up in conversation, but one of my homies brought it up. Was just like, "Did you play Resident Evil 5? What'd you think about it?" And it was like a 2-hour conversation. It was very funny.
It's because Resident Evil 4 is looming. It's here. Resident Evil 4, like I said, if you are black, Resident Evil 4's presence makes you think of Resident Evil 5 looming in the shadows. And Resident Evil 5 has big Jade Empire energy, and I'm wondering when they're even going to even attempt to cross that bridge. I don't think they will, to be very blunt. But just the conversation with Yoshi P just is just like, it just kind of just like, well, what does this look like? What does the African survival horror game look like, even in 2020? I guess 6 or 7. Like, even though the Resident Evil folks are super, yeah.
The thing, I also agree. I don't think it's going to happen, but two things that come to mind is that when I forgot exactly who, I think it was a producer that said at the time when those concerns were brought up, the producer at the time, all those years back, said, well, if you feel that way, it is what it is. Also, a couple of years, I forget how many years following that, Capcom said that its American branch would help it with the creative process regarding its like Resident Evil titles. After that, that Aaron is laughing because we do not know about the Capcom's employee dynamics exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably have stats out there or whatever, but we know why he's laughing. But anyway, the thing about 5 I think a lot about is from the time from then till now, it's that it's I wouldn't say easy, but it's yeah, easy. It's very easy to get labeled now because of so many people, advocacy groups and what have you, to be labeled as anti-black. If you provide more than enough, I guess the word I want to use now is fodder for that, because this is a game that back then, a lot of black folks brought up the issue about it being anti-black and it's racism, and people went after them, what have you. Now, if that was released as is now, that of course wouldn't fly. So the other thing that I think about is that games are going to have their, their biases and what have you. But the thing is, even if you were to remove like the very visual problematic element of a white man being in the African continent in a I don't know if they named the country, I'm sorry, but
No,
like,
that shit's Africa, dog. Like, no value. Yeah, it's Resident Evil in Africa, the city of Africa, in the state of
oh, so
Africa,
they
in the
didn't
continent of Africa. Please continue.
oh, so they didn't even oh, okay, see
On
that's even more racist
On
because you
Africa
don't
Street and
specify.
Africa
Yeah.
Boulevard. Please continue.
Yeah, so Aaron just pointed to the fact of like how even further racist it was to the fact that it didn't even name the specific country, even though there's a lot of countries and regions within the giant continent that is Africa. Anywho, back to my point.
Dog, it's so bad.
It's even if you remove the problematic element of a white man there, and if you were to replace them with only black characters, you still have this anti-black visual representation, right? Of the fact that you have these black characters in a African country with the fact that I'm getting into territory I don't like because it's uncomfortable regarding media, but I'll mention it anyway, where you have zombies depicted as black people, which media has a very ugly history with, and me particularly being Haitian, like that's kind of part of the reason why voodoo is bastardized thanks to the West. Thank you, and that's kind of spread.
It listen, those fucking dime novels, uh, and like old school Hollywood, totally going all in with the zombie shit. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah,
That's several decades worth of
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's bad. So so again, I'm just going off the fact that if they were trying to do their best, where if it still remained the same, or if they interjected black protagonists instead, still you have black people going over to you have black people going over to an African country where the very visual threat is other black people or viruses, and it's at that point it would still be highly 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 uncomfortable, even if they like change the fact, even if they kept the villains the same, it would still be you're fighting a white eugenist, right? um and what Bacon just mentioned earlier, apparently is the black people's fault that that virus like happened, where in the real world, you know think that's not how things work with history. That's not like when people are subjugated to diseases and stuff like that, it's not because they brought that upon themselves. That came from somewhere, or they weren't
Oh
prepared,
yeah.
and
Basically like the people of the past, like their ancestors on this mysterious Africa, um had like hidden it away, and then the white people came to use it as a weapon.
My
I
my writer brain is trying to, because there is a way you can tell this Resident Evil story where you're trying to, where you're one, first of all, you're not just setting black people on fire as cannon fodder, but there is a threat to black people that you actively do not want to take advantage of. Like, the black people are at risk, and you're trying not to harm black people as cannon fodder. And then like it becomes the initial wave that there is a problem, and then you're actively trying to avoid this outcome, and it becomes, and but you have to change. Like I said, the game has to be fundamentally different from the core narrative from the beginning. Fortunately, there's already an existing story. Resident Evil 8 and all these Resident Evils are kind of rebuilt the narrative to create a narrative where we could be in Africa as black people who don't necessarily want to harm black people, and the enemy can be the white man. They don't have the range. We'd have to handle it. Us. Like I said, we're talking about
that's another thing too.
Capcom's American office, and now all I can think of is Forspoken. Who's working here? Like you said, right? Right. So it's like those people handled Negroes as best as they thought they could. Square is probably shocked when they hold all the blowback. They were like, "That's crazy. We got Americans to handle black folks. There's some black people who work in this building, right? Just waving at a general skyscraper.
The other thing that works against Resident Evil 5 as well is the fact that that is the only, someone's gonna have to correct me, that is the only numbered title that features a black character. Is that right? Is that still correct?
Kind of. So all of the characters in the previous Resident Evil games all show up in 6, but 6 is a disjointed piece of mess.
Yeah, no, 6 is trying to do like the Avengers Endgame Infinity War thing, and very, very, very badly. So I don't think there are any.
It's
There
so
are no.
weird.
There
It
are no
just
black people there though.
doesn't make sense. But yes, other than that, there are no black people. But it's the same character, Sheva.
Yeah, Sheva doesn't.
See,
Sheva doesn't
that's
pop up
another
in.
problem
Sheva
too.
doesn't pop up in Resident Evil 6. She
I
don't
thought
pop.
she did.
Nah,
I thought
nah.
they put all the pairs.
Nah. Jill's out. Nah, Resident Evil 6 has its own problem where the only returning non-male character is treacherous Asian Ada Wong and former child Sherry Birkin. Jill out.
Oh, you're right.
Sheva out. Rebecca Chambers out. Everyone who killed people who killed zombies with you out. Resident Evil 6 is trash. I'm not even gonna get into that. None of those people made the cut. Please continue.
Yeah, no, I really, the other thing about that game too is like it's literally a poster child of anti-blackness in game. Like for real. Like in games, like it. Nah, dog. Like if I see that announcement, if I see that trailer, you will literally see me quote tweet the trailer on Twitter and just in all caps laugh. Like, are you serious?
I don't think they
You
want these.
know?
I don't think they want these problems. Like,
No, like
objectively, they don't
now
seem
I
to
think they
want
be at the
to.
point where they even that even though I have my problems with the NAACP, they probably be on their ass too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I don't. Speaking of Forspoken, I think we mentioned in the Discord. Like I put it down after I saw that tweet of the performance patch because I'd rather just wait for that. And in the time being, I'm playing Wulong, which has a very, 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 I'm saying very a lot, great character creator. It is very robust. If you are of all skin tones, of all shades, you will look good in this game. You will sit there. You'll be like, "Can I make myself?" Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm so excited to not play that game.
It's
There are too many fucking games. Leave me alone. Stop it. I don't want any more. I don't want any more.
It's like
I'm trying
this.
to do classes.
It's like mosquitoes, yes, but just make a character, and then there
No,
you go.
I can't make a character because I don't play the game.
You don't need to play the game. Make character. Just make character.
Aaron, that is not how my brain works.
All right, then play the game. There you go. Solve problem solved. Anywho, what were
No,
you gonna say?
I can't play the game. I have other games I have to play.
No,
Octopath is sitting sealed on my desk, waiting for me to play
Ain't no-
and stream, but homework, and I need my Octopath.
There ain't no niggas in that shit. Even though I think you're the only black person in Wolong if you make a black person, but still, my previous statement stands limply.
My
One
current
leg
statement
wobbly.
stands.
Wobbly.
My current statement stands.
It's my favorite character creator, I think. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yes, it's better than the one in Neo 2 because the thing I noticed immediately is that the rendering for darker skin tones it's not like where your character is in the dark. The problem with Neo 2 was in a lot of dark spaces, your character, if they were the darkest skin tone, they kind of blended in because they didn't have the technology to render what darker skin folks look like in dark, in dark areas. Because even if you're in a dark area, obviously you could still see someone's Aaron's complexion or darker, because obviously that's how light reflects off the skin, right? Neo 2 kind of had that problem. The thing with this I've noticed is that when you're in a dark area and your character standing in front of like the flagpole, for example, because the flagpole that's where you can rest up and level up and yada yada. It glows, right? So when you take the camera mode and you zoom in into your darker skinned character, like you can see the light is like shining off of them like it should versus where they look oversaturated. That was kind of the problem with Neo too.
Hmm.
Um, more darker skin tones, but like they course corrected for this. So whether it's like you're in the darkest of night, midday, or in the morning, like your the darker skin tones look really good. Like they actually put money into that, right? And I've also noticed it's like they put the budget into that. They've also I'll see like production values as well. It's like when you're fighting enemies, I noticed it's like certain things like the rendering is a lot better. I was like,
Hmm.
oh damn, they put money into that, you know. But like the hair rendering, for example, like from like 3A to the kinkiest hairstyles, like they look good, you know. Like you can zoom in into it and you can see like, okay, they actually it doesn't do that thing like Monster Hunter World did that Bacon mentioned at one time where it's like, yeah, this is a hairstyle, but clearly this is rendered where it's like straight hair, but you all kind of just bundled it. Like they don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like when you zoom in, it's like you can see it. You know, it looks like, oh, you went to a braider. I see you. Type shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bacon. The character creator is really great. It's really good.
Yeah,
It's
I
really good.
really, it really is something that I specifically you as someone who has trouble because you always mention that either you are white or like strawberry shortcake when you try to make yourself in games yourself. So
Yes, the let light skin problems. Boo hoo. Yeah, no, you can't make light skinned people in games.
yeah, and you can't make dark skinned people. I'm chocolate. I'm
Yeah,
chocolate. Jeffrey's mud.
it's like you can make like the medium brown black people,
Right.
but you cannot make light skinned people, and you cannot make like dark skinned people. Like that mid range, you can make all you can make that in games, but you can't if you try to make a light skin character. They're just white people, and if you're trying to make a dark skin character, either it's like well, with both, it could be a mud tone.
Hmm.
Um, or like you just can't see your character. You can't see shit. It doesn't look like a black person.
Yeah. What I've noticed with Koei Tecmo's other game, Wild Hearts, that's the it's weird to call that a Monster Hunter competitor. It plays a lot like Monster Hunter. That game also has presets where I've noticed that their presets I think they're really good for lighter skinned black folks because I've noticed like when you select them, I was like, oh, okay, this looks like one of my neighbors. This looks like somebody seen at the store. This is actually pretty good. The thing I noticed about that game is that it doesn't do dark skinned characters as well as Wulong, but that kind of makes sense because one is a game where I imagine the budget went to different places, you know, uh, versus the other. So I that kind of makes sense, but it's kind of disappointing, you know. It's kind of like the character's kind of in the darker midtones, what have you. But the lighter skin black folks presets in Wall Hearts is pretty good, I think. And Wulong, I think also does a really good job for folks who are of like Bacon's skin tone for sure. Like you don't look like a white person. Like, you
I just
don't.
like I'm like I just want to make me, but I want to not look white.
Right.
Like
No, that's real.
the
Yeah.
the the best I've gotten is like racially ambiguous, but it looks racially ambiguous to me, not to like another person, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, cause
Hmm.
like there's a black people can tell when another black, like a light skinned black person is black. Like we can tell. Like as a black person, it'd be like, I have no idea what the fuck they are. I don't know what my character is. My
Yeah.
character is clearly a very mixed race baby between like somebody and somebody.
No, that's real. Yeah. It's funny how Koei Tecmo, and it's well, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's funny. Koei Tecmo, a Japanese game developer, released two games, Wall Hearts, and Wulong, where you can make people of a whole bunch of identities, black included, look good. It's funny how that works. Where other companies are just like, well, I know Final Fantasy 16 doesn't have a character created, but you know what I mean. It's just like Wulong is a game that takes place in ancient China, but you can make a character that's black
Do you know
because
who
it's like,
wasn't?
why not?
Do you know who wasn't in ancient China?
Who wasn't in ancient China?
It's like the
Mm,
one place.
you know? Yeah, that kind of goes back to the point. It's like,
Actually, there were, but like not in any great way.
no, yeah, I'm sure, but this goes back to the conversation. Like, come on, like for real, like look at what other people are doing. You sound ridiculous. Those comments are still ridiculous. Those comments are ridiculous. Speaking of black people in games, um, they recently, Wargroove 2 recently released a trailer, and when you watch it, you'll see and hear. I'm assuming is a black pirate. Uh, I'd say that. But that character definitely looks like our auntie who flies the seven seas and robs some colonizers. And I'm for it. I hope very much that whenever that game launches, they eventually show us the cast, because the voicing cast, because last time with Wargroove 1, the DLC, I specifically remember the developer getting kind of in hot water when people were like, so you have these brown characters, right? But we've noticed all the people who've been attached to them are most definitely not. What's going on with that? And I remember they were kind of called out by like some orgs, and like the defense was, oh well, we did quote unquote blind casting for these characters, and yeah, the people we hired just happened to be white. Back then, I was pretty blah, right? Hopefully this time they course correct, because I, as a Haitian person, I'm obligated to check out a game with black pirates, because I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but that appeals to my senses. If you catch my drift.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean,
You from where
I'm
you
not
from?
Haitian. I'm not Haitian, and that's also my thing. So like, hey, like if you need to use me as an excuse, I'm here.
There are black people.
I wanna know too.
There are certain there are certain black people in certain occupations that we want to see, and we want to see in a game. We do. You want to see black pirates? Who do I want to see?
I wanna rob colonizers and get that high. Yeah.
Let's rob some colonizers. I mean, that's just
Oh,
me.
man.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm here for some colonizer robbing.
Right. Yeah. Um. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I'm forgetting
No, I
anything.
think we're here.
we got
Like, we roast.
Wargroove, we got Wolong, we got Yoshi. You did want to talk about the Creed cinematic universe
Oh,
from noted dork Michael B.
right,
Jordan.
right. So, Creed 3 came out. It's a good movie. I would recommend seeing it. As someone who's seen all three in theaters, because I thought about that. I completely forgot. I've seen all three in theaters. Um, it's good. It's Michael B. Jordan's directing. Is it his directing debut? I don't know. He's credited, so
It is his
I
it is his
think it's
directed.
his first time.
Yeah, it's his first movie directed.
Oh, okay, good for him. Yeah, it's a solid movie. Creed 2 is definitely the weakest among the three. But anywho, following the success of Creed 3, it was announced that he is looking to expand the universe. So that means possibly an anime. We may see an anime, which isn't a shocker, because this man has said so many times he's inspired by the medium of anime and all these shows. May also mean like a live action Creed show, which would star his daughter. That would be cool. Because she's canonically deaf, and yeah, that'll be dope to see. Um, and I don't know what other stuff for Creed that would be out. But as far as movie goes, so I was thinking back, like, you ever like thought to yourself, like, why did I watch this thing? I went back.
Literally every time.
I I went back and I watched the trailer and I forgot like this movie came out in like 2015, 2016. I think it was 2015. So I watched the trailer. I'm like, why did I go to the theater to see this? Because it was a well shot trailer. And it's funny because like you're watching trailers well shot, it's him or whatever, and it doesn't introduce Rocky Balboa until like halfway into the trailer. Then you're like, oh shit, Rocky's in this, right? And then it ends where like he's talking to Rocky, and Rocky's like, "Your worst enemy is the guy you're looking at in the mirror." And he's looking at himself, and then it ends with him saying the lines. He's like, now, now, show me something." And I was like, "Ooh, that gave me chills." I remember like, "Yeah, that was dope," and it was a good movie. Um, so I was just thinking about that, but that's a movie with a whole bunch of black people. And when you see Creed 3, it like I'm not gonna ruin anything, but like when you watch scenes, there's like so many like little black cultural references wherever you look, they're just sprinkled in there, as well as like Latin American references as well, regarding the sport of boxing. So yeah, that's one. I think that's interesting. If Michael B. Jordan makes something out of that, I think the most interesting thing to me would be what anime production studio would work with him to get an anime, and who exactly would it be about?
Wouldn't it? I
Um,
imagine it would be that group that did the Yasuke anime for Netflix.
Probably, yeah.
I
Probably.
mean,
They did a good job. Like story aside, yeah, it did look visually good.
oh yeah, they
Yeah.
did a great job
Um,
artistically.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Shout outs to. I mean,
Um,
I'm so confused. I'm like, I don't know why. Given how strongly Sylvester Stallone feels about the Rocky franchise.
mhm.
I really am kind of like, I'm just like, I look at this, I'm like, did he really just let this nigga take it and run off with it? Like, is this his now? And I'm not complaining in any
um,
way, but I'm fascinated by that. Like, I don't, like, I'm just, that's really impressive. It's interesting to me that Rocky, because Sylvester Stallone loves the shit out of the Rocky movies and just,
right.
he's obsesses over them. And so, I'm like, so Michael B. Jordan is handling
It,
this. Like, is it now Creed, has Rocky now become Creed over time? And it's like, okay, I'm I have questions, but
yeah. It's one of those things where like creatively you'll see he was very much a part of part one, but a lot of that was still Ryan Coogler doing a
right,
really great job with directing. Part two was kind of meh, but Sylvester Stallone was more involved with that, so you
right.
could probably credit that not doing so well because of him. And in part three, he's not really in it. Like
That's
he's
what I
credited with
mean.
being an executive producer, yeah,
Right, that's what I mean. The
but
fact
like,
that he's just letting niggas just handle this, I just never, I can tell you right now, it's very rare you see a white person who feels so strongly about a piece of art that connects to them, that frames them, and to let black
mm,
people essentially just drive the car. I haven't heard anything from Sylvester Stallone one way or the other. The silent white people are never silent one way or another. And that's what fascinates me is
I
like,
mean,
this is we may never hear anything, and that silence is so loud to me that I'm like, this white man ain't saying nothing. Like, this is about to become
I
like
love
what? What'd you say?
I love it so much that Creed is now run by niggas and Sylvester Stallone's just like, yes, my legacy continues. I don't care if it's by niggas. Let's go.
Right, that type of pragmatism
He's
is
getting all these he's getting all these niggas money. Let's
right. That
go.
type of pragmatism is usually undercut by outright racism. Usually, that type of pragmatism we never see. White people always shoot themselves in the foot to be a little racist. So to not see it is almost confusing.
it could just be, he just realized, this is very much something that Mike has a good handle on, and he just stepped back because I remember one of the reasons that he wasn't so jazzed with three was the storyline regarding the antagonist being driven by a lot of resentment and anger, and he just wasn't vibing with that as a story plot, and he just stepped away. But then obviously that turned out great because the movie performed really well. I was like really attentive. I was like, yo, this is dope when I was in the theaters watching it. And, people clapped at like at the parts they were supposed to clap at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Well,
you
I
Oh,
know,
also
oh,
feel like, folks like being motivated by anger is a very relatable thing.
yeah,
Like it's very relatable.
yeah,
well,
it's very, very relatable. But yeah, that's it for me. Oh wait, there was one more thing I was going to mention
right.
before I forget. Hold on,
Okay. All
wait.
right. All right. Okay. All right.
Uh,
Okay.
I had the report right here. There was this was towards the end of last month in February, where NBC News ran a report regarding like what happened with diversity roles 3 years after what happened in 2020. So one of the interesting things about this is like, given the job cuts that have happened across so many different companies and what have you, unfortunately that includes like people in DEI roles, right? And what's happened is that those have gotten like cut as well, unfortunately, because the thing was like this report notes is like those roles increased by 55% in 2020, and towards the end of last year just kind of dwindled. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that the support notes that I'm gonna just read this paragraph. Another survey showed that Black employees represent only 3.8% of chief diversity officers overall, with white people making up 76.1% of the roles. Those of Hispanic and Latino ethnicity make up 7.8%, and those of Asian ethnicity make up 7.7% of chief diversity roles. So that
But
data is not really interesting. I'm not interesting. I'm so sorry. Not surprising is the word I meant to say. You were saying bacon. I'm sorry. I did
how
not mean to cut you off.
no, it's fine. However, we're going through a quote recession, so we need to lay off all of these quote unnecessary roles, which just happen to be, you know, all of the diversity hires that we were doing for posturing that were
Right.
barely a drop in the bucket on things, but hey, let's get rid of like the little that we had,
Hmm.
even though these are also actually very necessary roles across the board.
Yeah. No.
Let's just, have manufactured wages let's try to purposely stagnate wages and get rid of all the colored people we hired. Let's
You know.
go.
Yeah. I Bacon just took the words right out of my mouth. That's literally what I was gonna mention. So the thing is that given those stats and based off that report is like, people of couleur are often the ones who are on the chopping block just based out of like, just statistics, right? Like most of us are just gone. So what that means is that most people in chief DI roles are not of couleur. And so that's fun, because yeah, we. So I just wanted to bring that up to remind people. So whenever you see your company, or any company you may be interested in talking about, DEI, just take a look to see who your DEI chief is. Just take a look at that, and just check your what your hiring has looked like since you yourself have started working for that company, what it looked like last year, what have you, just out of sheer curiosity, just to see how much things are changing. That's the only reason I bring that up. So yeah, And also, I'm gonna be for real. This is gonna be my last point. It's like I always occasionally think maybe I might go back to school to like learn or get a degree to eventually become like a chief DI person. But then reports like this just remind me: do you really want to do that? Well, one, you're likely to get axed when job cuts happen, and that's a reality I'm very aware of. And two, do I really want to put myself in a position where I know as a response I would laugh at people if I made a very great effort to diverse or try to diverse our workforce by race, gender, ethnicity, only for that to be shot down? I follow people who've been in those roles who've talked honestly about that. And I know me, I'll laugh at people's face as a response. And that'll probably get me fired. So it is what it is. Yeah.
We in here.
All right.
Education podcast day.
That's right.
No, this is great because I was super low energy. Thank you for coming for the 100th episode.
That's right. We're gonna
Thank you for
have
having
you.
me.
We're gonna have you back on. They announced the RoboCop game.
What?
I'm sorry, what?
They announced the RoboCop game today. They dropped a proper
Oh,
gameplay
no.
trailer of the RoboCop game. Everyone he shot was white. Like I said, this is gonna be interesting. RoboCop in 2023.
Dog. Nah, that's a property. Woo wee.
So we gotta have you back on. But right now, I know everyone's got hard stops all over the place. So we're gonna say thank you, Jeffrey, for coming on our program. Greatly appreciated for celebrating 100 episodes with us.
100 episodes.
100. It's still weird to me.
It's been 3 years. But yeah.
I don't understand.
But thank you so much, and thank you guys for listening. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll be back next week with episode 101. And,
Ah.
Here.
all right, folks. Thank you guys for listening, and have a pleasant day.